Hey guys, this is Mario again, coming at you with a vlog. Now this is a subject I've been wanting to talk about for a while. One thing I forgot to mention in my ultimate rant, but I guess that this actually deserves its own separate video away from the ultimate rant. As most of you probably know from my videos, I'm an Iron Maiden fan. They were one of the first heavy metal bands I got into, and they are probably my favorite band even to this day. Now, if you look at the history of it, ever since their first album, they've had three singers. The first two albums, they had Paul Di'Anno, who, since those two albums had a more punk metal type of sound, his more raspy, punk-oriented voice fit him. Then after that, because of cocaine problems, he was kicked out of the band, and they brought in Bruce. Now, Bruce stayed with the band from Number of the Beast in '82 all the way to Fear of the Dark in '93, if I remember right. Then he left to pursue a solo career. It was then that they brought in Bayley, who stayed from then till 1999 when he left and Blaze came back. When Bruce came back, excuse me. Now, fans always seem to pick on Blaze for a variety of reasons. One of which being that he has that his range is not as broad as Bruce's, because Bruce has a tenor voice or a counter-tenor voice. I'm not sure exactly which one, but I'm sticking probably with a medium to high tenor voice that approaches countertenor, while Blaze has a bass-baritone voice, which, for those of you who don't know the voice types, it's an unofficial voice type that lies between bass, which is the lowest of the male singing voices, and baritone, which is the most common male singing voice. You want to know another baritone type voice? That would be James Hetfield of Metallica. He has a baritone voice. Country singers, most of them have baritone voices, because I've yet to hear a country singer with a voice like an air raid siren. But the point is, one thing that they pick on Blaze for is his lower range. Another thing that they pick on him for is that it is kind of connected with his range, is how he sang the older Maiden songs. So obviously, because of his shorter range, they didn't play ones like Run to the Hills, where you'd actually have to be able to hit the high notes. Now, they praise him for when he sang Rothschild and stuff, because he actually could do those ones pretty well. The ones that they pick on him on are usually like Number of the Beast, which that one does not really require you to hit the high notes, because the high notes are not actually a part of the song. They were ad-libbed during the recording. And Clairvoyant, which requires some high notes, but not a lot. Now, I don't think it's fair to blame Blaze for that, because it's not his fault that those were the songs that were picked for him to sing during his tours with Maiden. If anyone's at fault, it's probably Harris, because he's the one that usually controls stuff, and the other musicians. You know, Nico, not so much Nico, more Dave and Yannick. The reason I say that is, depending on your range of vocals, that determines what key a song will be in. It's an existing song that you can sing it comfortably. Like, take the Star Spangled Banner, for instance. If you're playing it on piano, you can play it in many different keys. If you have like a more deep bass-like voice, you have to play it in a low key, and your voice will sound comfortable with it. A more higher voice, play it in a higher key. Now, since Blaze has the bass-baritone voice, they should have had their instruments tuned to a lower key. Therefore, Blaze's voice would have more complemented songs that people say he does sound good on. He would have sounded even better on. Like, imagine if he had sang Rothschild with the instruments tuned to his best baritone level. He would have sounded way better on it. And also, for Clairvoyant, he might have actually sounded decent on, because I will agree he does sound atrocious on that song, but I don't blame him. And then people say they don't like his voice at all, even on his own song. That is just not being fair. Trying to say that he can't sing just because he has a lower range? Range is not the only thing that determines if you can sing or not. Just because, let's say, I'll just use Bruce as an example. And just because Bruce has a tenor voice and Blaze has a bass baritone does not mean that one is a better singer than the other. In my opinion, they're both very good singers. They're about equal in quality. The only difference in them is their range, and also maybe their experience, because if I remember right, Blaze is, I think, a little like I don't remember how old Blaze is. Oh, I gotta check that because I know Bruce is in his early 50s. Let's see how. I don't remember exactly offhand how old Blaze is. I know he's in his 40s somewhere. I don't know. Remember if he's in his. I think he might be in his late 40s. So. Yeah, he's in his late 40s. So I don't know. So okay, the experienced one, I don't know about that because he might have started in a band when he was young. I don't know much about his earlier history, but just because Blaze has a shorter range does not mean that he is any less of a singer than Bruce is. Like I said, I think they're both good singers. Range is only one factor in your singing thing. Like I mentioned, key is another thing. There's a multitude of things that go into your singing stuff, into singing. But range should not be the only thing that dictates, oh, just because they have a shorter range, they suck at singing. By the logic of the people that say that just because Blaze has a short range, he sucks at singing, they're also saying Johnny Cash sucks at singing. He has a bass-baritone voice, trying to say that he sucked at singing. Granted, he never usually held notes that long, at least in the songs of his that I listened to, but he was a pretty good singer. He had a good voice. And they also trying to say that James Hetfield can't sing. I'm going to be totally honest. I actually like his vocal performances now than in the earlier days. That's because back then he was basically just screaming the songs. Now he's actually singing the songs. That's one of the other things of singing. You have to go. Your voice has to go with the melody. That's one of the problems that Blaze has on the clairvoyant. But like I said, that's because of the key that the songs are played in. If they were played in a lower key, he could have gone with the melody more. And then pitch. That's another problem. If they had been a lower key, his pitch would have matched the songs better. See, there's a multitude of factors. The main problem with Blaze singing the older Maiden songs is the key. Lower key, he would have sounded better, and fans would not be complaining about it. Now, the fans that say that Blaze can't sing, I dare them to listen to his Wolfsbane stuff and his solo career stuff, and then try to say that. Because he actually sounds better on that stuff. Granted, it's because of different musicians, I think. Because Maiden was probably used to by then, it was used more to. Sorry, pop up. It was more used to playing for a tenor voice than for a bass baritone voice by then. Now, if Blaze had joined the band in between Paul and Bruce, probably be a different story. Granted, he doesn't have as high a range as Paul, because I think Paul's like a high baritone around there somewhere. Because I don't really hear him scream that often in his songs, or he was anymore. And I think his range has diminished a little since then. But forget where I was. But the point is, just because they have different vocal ranges doesn't mean they're. I've already said this a couple times, but I didn't remember what it was. Listen to his solo and Wolfsbane stuff and try to tell me he can't sing. And then he's not a good singer, and he did not deserve to be an Iron Maiden. And also think of this. They tried something different while Bruce was gone. And if you think about it, the way that the songs for those two albums are written, a more deeper voice suits it, I mean. Because, more so with the X Factor, those songs are dark. I mean, look, Edge of Darkness, based off of Apocalypse Now, 2 AM, which is a very personal song for Steve. Then, of course, we got Lord of the Flies, Near Say More, Sign of the Cross, based on the Spanish Inquisition. I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Then Judgment of Heaven, a song which I think is okay. I like the lyrics. Search for the Truth, all of them are very dark songs. It's kind of... Now, I know that Bruce did sing a couple of the Blaze era songs live, but his voice, he's just okay at singing them. It's because this is one thing I learned once. When you can hit high notes, it's easy for you to hit the high notes, but it's harder for you to hit the low notes. And the same thing, of course, is true if you have a lower voice, you can hit the low notes, but it's almost impossible to hit high notes at all. And when Bruce sings the Blaze era songs, granted they do it in a different key, but still, especially this is more true of the ones where it requires a lower thing, this doesn't sound right at times. Granted, I'm not saying that Bruce does a bad job at singing them. It's just you could tell that they're more suited for a lower sounding voice, and it makes it sound a little. It also goes with a darker sound, I guess. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, the deeper voice complements the subject matter more. Like I said, it's more so on the X Factor. Because as I think of the two Bruce Blaze era albums, it's the better album. I actually, of the album, I usually keep most of that album on my PSP. Of the next one, I only keep 4 songs, and one of them is the shorter version of it, Angel and the Gambler. I listen to the shorter version, not the long-ass version. But my point is, I don't think Blaze deserves all the hate he's getting. Most of it, in my opinion, is just nitpicking. People just want to complain for the sake of complaining. Like I said a couple times already, listen to his solo stuff, listen to his Wolfsbane stuff, and then try to say that Blaze can't sing. And also, thing I'd like to say, try singing the songs yourselves. Because trust me, I have a bass baritone, maybe a normal baritone voice, because I don't know what notes I can hit, because I never had them checked. But I've tried singing Maiden songs from the different eras. My voice more suits the Paul and Blaze era stuff, and of course a couple of the Bruce ones. But I can tell you from personal experience, it is hard to sing the Bruce era stuff if you have a deeper singing voice. If you have a deeper voice and you're complaining about Blaze, try singing the Bruce era songs yourself in the same key they were written in, and also try to say that Blaze can't sing or did not do the best job he could on the ones that were out of key for him. Anyway, that concludes this vlog. In case any of you are wondering, it's almost 10 o'clock when I'm recording this, so if I seem a little out of it, for those of you who normally watch my videos, that's why. Anyway, that concludes this. See ya.